All right, I'm going to experiment with a different kind of formatted video. I'm going to speak over a time lapse that I shot a few months back, and I was really rushed on this project. It was pretty crazy. I didn't feel like I had the bandwidth to stop and do a proper walkthrough video of the whole thing. I wish I did, but I did set a camera up and shoot me in time lapse mode, oiling this one door, and it is gorgeous. So throughout this next 6 minutes or so, I'll try to give you a little taste of what the project entailed, what I did, and some tips and tricks along the way. So in a second or two, there's going to be some photos of what it looked like before. It was really bad. There they are. That is Cedar beneath there, and next is a little video pan of the whole thing. It's just gross, like a lot of old, worn, dirty grain with some old stain maybe. And sanding was the best option here. Pressure washing and cleaning would have brightened it, but we really wanted to flatten out that wood and get all those old grooves out of there. So we took the festoons out. It was mostly done with the ETS 150/5 with a grit progression, if I recall, from about 60 to 100. And then the RTS 400 with the similar grit progression to get the corners and the edges nice and flat. So at that point, the prep was done. It was beautiful. The wood was just clean, and we were ready for the finish. And I use Armstrong-Clark almost exclusively on exterior stain projects like this. As you can see, the glow and the evenness of it is just unparalleled. This is their amber product that is designed for hard and soft woods. It can go both ways. Most of their line cannot be used on hardwoods, but this hardwood product can also be used on softwoods. So this is the amber one. I chose this just because we wanted to give it a nice oily amber glow, but not add too much extra pigment. We really wanted the cedar to speak for itself and let the grain just really pop out, and this really did it. So that is the product. As you can see, I am just brushing it on with a kind of a small brush. And there's so many different little pieces of this. Each of those rows is like 10 or 15. And there was just a lot of cut work and kind of finicky brush work, and the top and bottom of each one also had to get oiled. That end grain was really thirsty after a decade or more of not getting finished. So just going at it with a little China bristle brush. And you can see whenever I do garage doors like this, I am putting something under the rail. The garage door is taken off of the cables, and I just position it on the rail using, you can do anything, a bucket, a little extension pole, and I'm going bottom to top here. I wish I moved the camera back a little bit so you could see, but it was kind of a pain to get into those upper corners, but got it done. One thing that I like about the stain is that it's not going to lap. It just does not do that. So you can cut those corners and come back a few minutes later and get the rest of the board, and you're not going to get lap marks. It's all going to just really glow and penetrate evenly. What else should I talk about? This is a penetrating stain. Yeah, we can talk about that. So the goal here is for all of this oil to absorb into the wood fibers. Contrast that with a film forming finish, like a lot of the Sickens line that kind of looks like it has a shell. That would also make this wood look gorgeous, but it would be more of a maintenance hassle once it started failing. And what I've found is that most people don't maintain those film forming finishes well enough, and failure happens, and then it's ugly and you got to strip it. With this finish, that will never happen. You just oil it, it fades, it never builds up onto the surface and becomes a problem that needs to be stripped. You just clean it a little bit the next year, and then, or next year or 2 or 3, depending on the maintenance cycle, which is largely dependent on the sun, and then you go and reapply it. As you can see, for the top row of garage doors that are segmented like this, it is best to just get on a stepladder and get them from the inside. It is just easiest, and hopefully the door will come down. Yeah, you can see, so I did the top. Again, that's where the lack of lapping is great. Even if this were a really dark brown pigmented stain from Armstrong-Clark, there would not be lap marks there. So it's little things like that if a product can make application that much easier, that's always a big benefit. All right, so we are coming up on the end of this. You're going to see me do an important thing relatively soon called just back brushing, or you can also call it kind of laying it out. I am just flooding a lot of oil on these boards right now because we want to give this old dry wood the opportunity to soak up as much as it can. But the porosity is not, the density is not uniform across all these boards. So some of these little areas on the same boards are going to take more oil than areas just an inch away. So laying it out will distribute oil from where it's kind of pooling and not absorbing to where it's absorbed, and then you leave it overnight. It's not going to be soaking or dripping wet, but it's still going to have a little sheen. You leave it overnight, it'll totally absorb perfectly. Another couple seconds, you'll see me start doing that. This is really forgiving, this oil. You can go back 20-30 minutes later and still be laying it off, and it's not going to be tacky, it's not going to drag, just because most of it is already in the wood, and this is a really forgiving product. So shortly I should pop out and do that last step. After getting that, again, sorry I cut my head off. I really wish there was the full view, but I'm sure if you're in the trades, you know how it is. You just set up and go and worry about value later. So here we are. All right, laying it off. You can see it's kind of uneven, right? And now I'm coming through long, even brush strokes throughout the whole thing, evening out the distribution of that oil. And look at that. Gorgeous. And I'm going to show a few more stills of the finished product. Thanks for watching. Comment if you have any questions. And while you look at these beautiful stills, I want to quickly plug a podcast episode that I did with the founder and current president, two different people of Armstrong-Clark Company. It is really fascinating. They have a great family history, and we also get into details about the chemistry of the product. So that is Advice from a Young Tradesman, Season 2, Episode 4. I would encourage you to check that out if you're curious. Link in the description below.